we're doing some meetings, and I had the opportunity to come live, so I decided to pop in without notice. So I know we didn't announce that we were going to come live, but we're here. So excited to be here. Where I actually had some difficulty going live the last time on some of the platforms. So this is a check-in just to see how things are going. And then we're going to be scheduling our next live video so that you all can be well informed in advance. I hope everyone is doing great. I just have a few minutes before my next appointment gets into the office. So today we're still going to be discussing a couple of issues that we need to discuss. We are still going to be discussing a couple of issues that have come to our attention that need to be discussed. So let me share my screen with the people who are on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. If you guys can hear me very well, you can see me great, please drop an emoji. The emoji can be of anything, the country you're connecting from, flag, just anyhow you're feeling, just drop an emoji. Let me know that you guys can hear me, you can see me, and everything is going on great. Okay, so one of the things that people fear very much is RFEs. RFEs are simply requests for evidence. If you file an immigration application, USCIS, an affirmative application, USCIS can request for evidence, meaning that they need more documents from you to be able to either approve your case or deny your case, or even sometimes give you a notice of intent to deny. Guys, I remember when I was doing my own removal of conditions. Oh my goodness. Guys, I tell you people, I've been through the immigration journey myself, and I have felt all the feels. So we had applied for my removal of conditions. So once you come, you apply for a green card, you are inside the US, and it's based on marriage, and the marriage has lasted less than 2 years. Your first green card that you get is a 2-year green card. Then you'll have to apply to remove the conditions from the green card, because that 2-year green card is called a conditional green card. And once you um, apply to remove the conditions, you need to file it. If you're doing a joint filing, meaning you're doing it with your husband, then or your wife, then you have to file that joint removal of conditions 90 days before the green card expires. So I had done this application. My husband, we did the application, and then guess what happened? I got badading, a request for evidence. I was shocked. I was Interesting enough, I saw the letter, I opened it up, it was a request for evidence, and my heart started pounding. I don't know why. I was so worried. And then I read this request for evidence letter furiously. I mean, I just read it like with some energy in me, because I was like, you guys don't know who you're dealing with. I'm about to respond to this letter, each point. And at the time, I don't believe was I a lawyer at the time? This was must have been in 2018, right? So, I mean, I was a lawyer in Ghana. I think I had passed the bar and I was awaiting swearing in or something. So I still wasn't licensed in the US, but I responded to that letter like the lawyer that I was. I really addressed every single point, and I, provided them with all the evidence. And then within a couple, I don't remember, within the space of 2 months or something, my 10-year green card came in. They had actually waived my interview, and I was like, aha, you're not talking. So that was a very interesting experience, because I was very worried. I was very, very worried when I got that request for evidence. So when clients or people get requests for evidence, or I'm sorry, let me disconnect this. I'm getting calls. Okay. So when people get requests for evidences and they are worried, I know what the feeling is like. So let's discuss what a request for evidence is, and then we can figure out, oh my gosh, what did I do? Okay, and then we can figure out what it means for your case and such. Okay, so when you get a request for evidence, it means that USCIS is not really satisfied with what you have told them, or they need something. They need something to be able to either approve your case or deny your case. All right. So it comes in the form of a letter, and usually the request for evidence is, you're given between 84 to 87 days. Usually 84 days, which is 12 weeks. Sometimes um, you'll count. Let me see. There's something here. Okay, I see somebody says they've been arrested, but I am not sure. On TikToks, well, and they've been detained. Well, please reach out to us and let's see how we can assist you. Dana Cancinali. Okay, so you are given a time frame within which you have to respond to the request for evidence. And a request for evidence is usually sent at the discretion of the officer. Okay, so they can outrightly deny your case without even giving you an opportunity to supplement your records, or supplement your case. But generally, the officer will give you an opportunity to supplement your record if they find that there is a case you are making, or there's an underlying eligibility. Okay, so for example, if you are an auntie and you've applied for a green card for your nephew, they're not going to issue you with a request for evidence because that case will be denied outrightly. There's nothing under US immigration law that allows an aunt to file an immigrant visa petition or even a green card for the nephew. And so they can tell from the get-go that this case is dead on arrival. So they'll not give you the opportunity to supplement. But if you are a woman, for example, and you're a US citizen, you're married to your husband who is a foreigner, he's from Asia, Africa, or anywhere in the world, he's a foreign national, and you're applying for a green card for him. And let's say both of you have been in prior marriages and you did not include valid divorce decrees from those prior marriages to show you have a valid marriage currently, then US immigration or USCIS is likely to send you a request for evidence asking you to provide evidence that your prior marriages were both properly terminated, and that gives you the opportunity to demonstrate that you are currently in a valid marriage for the purposes of the green card that you're filing now, okay, or currently. So requests for evidences, they're very interesting because they can be very helpful for a case, okay? They can be very helpful for a case. Remember that whoever is adjudicating, or the adjudicating officer, what happens is that they are reviewing the case, obviously utilizing the law, but it's still from their perspective. They're human beings. It's not machines who are adjudicating these cases. And that's why I tell my clients, you may know your marriage is real, I may know your marriage is real, but the officer who's adjudicating hundreds of thousands of cases does not know your marriage is real. And so for that reason, you have to be able to demonstrate to him that you meet the standard and you have actually discharged your burden of proof. Okay, so the point is that the officer is going to be adjudicating this case using the law. It's not going to be an arbitrary adjudication. But at the same time, some officers tend to focus on certain things, others tend to focus on other things, right? Because when you're applying for a green card through marriage, you want to be able to show that the marriage is bona fide, and at the time you guys met, you intended to establish life together. For an officer, they'll see certain things and feel like, oh yeah, this looks genuine. For another officer, it takes a lot to convince them. So that subjective element could be very present in, during the review of your case. All right. So you want to make sure that as much as possible, you have really submitted all the relevant evidence for your case. And now here's what is sometimes important, right? Because if an officer now issues you with an RFE or a request for evidence, you are able to see the officer's thoughts about your case, and then you can redirect your case to be able to satisfy what the officer is not comfortable with. Because if you were comfortable with your case, you would have issued an approval. So sometimes for very complex, messy cases, it's really helpful to get an RFE because it provides direction or clarity on what you are requested or what the officer is expecting you to submit. And sometimes the RFEs or requests for evidences are very welcome because you might think that, oh, this case is deficient in one area. The officer does not think so, and then refocuses the case on another area and says, no, I need you to provide perhaps evidence of your prior divorce decree. And you're like, oh gosh, hooray, I thought my evidence was deficient or insufficient in showing that my marriage is real. But if you just need evidence of my prior divorce, I'm happy to give that to you because that's readily available. So RFEs can provide clarity and direction, and it can be very helpful. So when you get an RFE, you don't need to panic. You need to, especially where you have filed the case yourself. And we've seen these we see these very often. People get RFEs, and sometimes they don't really understand everything in that RFE, and then they attempt to respond to that RFE. Once you respond, then the officer is not satisfied. You just get your case denied. And then, we have to look at the options for reopening, either a motion to reopen or a motion to reconsider to get the case opened within the next 30 days. I mean, you filed that within 30 days and then it can be subsequently reopened. All right, guys. So an RFE is an opportunity to be able to demonstrate further that, no, I am really entitled to what I'm asking you for, and I'm ready to provide it. And therefore, please, provide an approval notice once you are done reviewing. Okay, so if you have an RFE, you can contact us, or you have a notice of intent to deny, you can certainly contact us, and we'll be happy to do the review for you and tell you how you can overcome the issue, what the officer is not comfortable with. Okay. All right, let me shift this Instagram. Let's see. Okay, so usually when they're evaluating your evidence, they're looking at specific elements that you're required to submit to show eligibility for the benefit request. And sometimes it could be, for example, one of the main things that people have an issue with is that your manner of entry into the US will determine how you can apply for your green card. If you entered with a visa, then you can do an adjustment of status in the US without leaving. If you entered without inspection and admission, meaning you didn't come with a visa, you came in illegally through a border, you jumped the wall, you came through, the California border, then it's usually very difficult to get a green card in the US without having to leave. Okay, so you have to understand the elements that are required to demonstrate eligibility for your case type. You have to understand the standard of proof that applies to the type of benefits that you are requesting. Different benefits have different standards of proof, but the general one for civil cases, US immigration, is by a preponderance of the evidence. And you guys know about all these standards, right? Highest is beyond every reasonable doubt. So 99% roughly, that's where you've gone to commit a crime, and they need to make sure that they don't go and imprison an innocent person. So they have to be, be very, very, very sure that you are the person that committed the crime. So with that one, the prosecution, that's the US government, in the case of the US, has to prove that you, Mr. X, you are the one that killed the deceased or murdered the deceased, right? In US immigration, it's not that high of a standard. It's just preponderance of the evidence, about 50% likely to be true. So I tell people, if you don't understand these different standards of proofs, burdens of proof, please don't attempt to do these things yourself, because, well, you may hit the mark, it may get approved, but it's an arbitrary, like you just got lucky. But if you are, you understand it, then you will know what type of evidence and the quantity, the quantum, and the quality of the evidence that you have to submit. And I'll tell you guys again, before you submit anything about yourself to the US government, best to believe it's great advice to actually have an attorney review it before you do that submission. I had a case recently, and this gentleman, he was applying for US citizenship. And what happened was that, he was a green card holder. He had gotten married. His father had filed for him. He was in Ghana. Father brought him in. Father filed for him under the F1 immigrant visa category. F1 means that you are the unmarried son of a US citizen. And for that, that type of F1, you cannot get married before you get admitted into the United States. So this guy is in Ghana, goes for his immigrant visa interview at the consulate, at the embassy in Ghana. And before he does that, guess what he does, guys? He gets married. He does a customary marriage with his wife. So this person becomes his wife. And then, so he went for the immigrant visa interview. After the immigrant visa interview, he got married customarily before he came into the US. I'm sure his wife was like, look, now that you've gotten the visa, if you don't get married to me, if you go, you're going to get married to somebody else. So you got to get married to me. And I guess in a bit to promise her, look, I will never leave you. He also got married to her after he had gotten his immigrant visa in his passport. As I tell you guys, no green cards are ever issued outside the US. If you apply for an immigrant visa, you will go to the US embassy. You are issued with an immigrant visa, which is a form I-551 stamp in your passport, and you can come into the US as a lawful permanent resident or a green card. Okay. So this guy gets the form I-551 stamp from the US embassy. He gets married subsequently, customarily, and then he enters the US through a port of entry as an F1. When he applied for the US citizenship, they asked him, what date did you get married? And then he gave the date. He sat in his bedroom, wrote all these affidavits. Declaring that, he got married on this date. He didn't understand the law behind why they were even asking him when he got married. So he had already committed himself. And then he goes for the interview. Then I reviewed his entire FOIA records. There was the record of his sworn statement. Another tip for you guys: you go for US citizenship interview, you are going to be recorded. And so every single thing that you say is recorded and it's kept on your file. So I reviewed all those records and I see the date, him admitting the date he was married, didn't know the implications. And then now he said, he got married on this date, and then subsequently he now wanted to change the date on which he got married, but the records were already there. He had also asked his dad to sign affidavits on the date he got married. Dad had also contradicted. By the time he came to me, I'm like, you see, you cannot go back to the US government and say, please unsee the evidence I sent you. It goes against me. Give it back to me. Unfortunately not. He had already submitted this into his record, and these were being used against him, unfortunately. And now his green card is tainted because the manner of coming into the US was deficient. As an F1 immigrant preference category case, you cannot get married before you are actually admitted into the United States. So that taint is on his green card, and the USCIS says his green card was unlawfully issued to him or even unlawfully procured or whatever. So that's another issue we're dealing with. But this is an example of why it's great to always have an attorney review everything you're going to be submitting to the US government before you do it, because you cannot undo it once it's done. Once it's in their possession, oh my goodness, I bet you they're going to use it against you because they're already looking to deny your case. You give them the ammunition, they will use it against you. So part of what we do is to make sure that, whatever you are submitting will not incriminate you in some way or cause problems for you later. We review, evaluate, and it goes through several layers of quality protection and stuff like that. Okay, guys, so thank you for joining. This was a surprise pop in. I just wanted to touch base with everyone, and then just make sure that our live was working and everything is fine. So we're going to be sharing information, or we'll post information about when next we're going to be live so that you guys can join in, and then we can have more fruitful discussions. If you have questions, drop them in the chat box on what you want us to discuss next. And then we can help you in our next live video, or just see how best we can assist you. Okay, so guys, if you have any concerns, give us a call. You can DM us. Our numbers are across social media. It's been a pleasure here. Nana Kwame on Facebook says that I've been here for 7 years and want to start my citizenship before my green card expires in 3 years. So your green card expires in 3 years? Okay. Sure. Yeah, we can help you. We can absolutely help you. This is a great time. I was telling you guys yesterday on our social media, great time to apply for US citizenship. We're seeing them really processing the cases fast so that people can be ready to vote in the November elections, the big presidential elections that are coming up. Mami Shira on TikTok says, how much is filing for my mom using I-130 forms? I believe it's $675 for the government filing fees. As for the legal fees, contact us, and then let's look at some things like your birth certificate. That's another major issue. You're filing for your mom, they're going to really scrutinize your birth certificate. Was it issued contemporaneously with your birth? Is it a biometric birth certificate? Have you been able to establish that claimed relationship by a preponderance of the evidence? Okay, so call me or call us, and then we'll be very happy to help you. Oh, so FR Knittings on Instagram says, Mom, you're so beautiful. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Essential Digital Satellite says, I love you. Okay, we love you right back. Thank you for the love. There's a ton of comments. I won't be able to read everything. So guys, thank you for joining. Thank you for keeping us company. I will see you guys in our next live video. Guys, don't forget to share this video, share our page. Just give us some loving when we share posts to encourage us. It is no mean feat or mean task. For the past 4 years, and the law firm is going to turn 4 years on September 9th. Ever since we started this law firm, every single day we have created content, we have made posts just to educate and to keep you guys updated with what's going on. Again, to advertise our services so that you see the great work that we're doing for 4 years consistently. I mean, weekends we don't post, but every single day we've showed up, we've showed out, we're here for you. My goodness. If you're looking for legal reliability, we're here. We're in the house. We have a team of dedicated people. We're here to just take on your case and to pursue it with all the vigor that we've got. We're here for you, and you can rest assured that we will do great by you. Okay, guys. So all the best to everyone. Have a great weekend. Have a great Labor Day weekend. I will see you in our next video. Bye.